Here we go.
Let's get this going.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. Because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association. From the CZ Studios.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Welcome into the CZ Studios, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day at the Patriot Mobile Command Center on the Patriot Mobile Command Center microphone. Of course, all brought to you by the NRA. Greg in Dallas, Texas. How you doing, my brother? It's been a day, man.
Yeah, it is. I'm not doing too bad. I can smell the weekend.
For a while today, I was tired, man.
Yeah.
I was just tired. I'm so glad our guest is Danielle Buck today. We're going to have a lot of fun with Danielle. We've got her for 2 segments. We'll go there in just a moment. First, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you that we are live. You can watch us on Facebook.com/ArmedAmericanRadio, Facebook.com/ArmedAmericanRadio, and lots of you do. Like and share the post. If you would, help us take back our social media. We're making some great strides over at YouTube, in particular, with the shorts that we're putting up. So make sure to comment and all that fun stuff. And help us out. They were not very friendly to us for a long time, Greg. You know, they don't like what we talk about. However, there've been some changes over there, and it's been pretty positive. I'll let you do your thing, and then we'll go to Danielle Buck from Patriot Mobile.
Yeah, to find us on YouTube, all you have to do is search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. If you want to watch us over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to the website, which is armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your Watch Live or Listen Live option. And lastly, if you'd like to join our live chat, all you have to do is download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That'll do it. And Greg, before we go to Danielle, what was the first thing you said to me when we were talking off air about it? Looks like the Republicans what?
Oh, it looks like the Republicans want to take the losing battle, which is America has a marijuana problem. So. And
the midterms not working. You said this is not
going
to
that's not going to fare well for them in the midterms. We can cover that at the bottom of the hour. But I saw today on Fox, the headline was, and this is a Republican stance, that America has a marijuana problem.
That's the biggest ill we have.
Yeah, we got a pedophile problem they don't want to prosecute on.
Danielle Buck, welcome in. How are you? We love Danielle on the show. It's great to have you here, Danielle. Thanks for being here today. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Are you tired today,
I'm just laughing at that comment. I'm just laughing at that comment because I'm like, are they delusional? Like, that's the biggest problem that we have in our country right now?
You know, I'm glad. That's why because I was talking with Josh earlier today, and, you know, where do we want to go, right? And I wanted to talk with you a little bit about the midterms. You guys are so plugged in. You're so plugged in politically, and I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. And when Greg said that, it was almost like he was living in my brain, whatever cell I have left. And I thought, what made you bring? Yeah, sometimes he is, because he's always talking in my ear like he just did. So I hear him even when I'm sleeping sometimes. But you know, it just seemed to work well. Is that the biggest problem we have? Let's talk a little bit about the midterms. You are plugged in. You attend every function I know of. So you guys know what's going on. What are your thoughts about what's happening right now? Take it all in context. Let's talk, you know, everything, like an overall, let's get out of the bubble and look down from the clouds and put everything in. How do you even cage this? It's a tough question.
It's a tough question, and there is so much going on. And you have to remember the average person, the average voter going into the midterms pays about 1/100th of the attention that the rest of us pay, who are very plugged in. And so I have to remember, like, they're thinking about their families, how to afford their life. So the economy is always something that we should be pressing. And then the other thing is what affects the people that they love. And so I think about, like, the prescription drug price decrease that happened. I think about things that affect their kids, like sports, girls playing against girls in sports. Those are winning issues. Those are things that everyday Americans, for the most part, largely care about and will actually go to the polls. And unfortunately, I know you talked about this because it obviously happened 2 weeks ago, but the Tarrant County race should be a wake-up call to all Americans. When 6% of voters vote in a runoff special election, what happens? The Democrats won.
All right, I want to talk about
something
that.
The whole country is talking about, because I think it is something that, like, that's what happens when people are apathetic. That's what happens when people stay home and don't vote.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously, Leah Wamsgans is a good friend of mine and a good friend of yours. You work with her, you know her very, very well. That I was blown away by that. Now, let me talk about it in terms of numbers. Trump won that district by 17%. She lost that vote in the special election at 14 points. If you look at that, if you want to do the math, it's a 31-point swing. And my question is, how does that work? How does that happen in a solid red district? Now, when I was talking with Greg yesterday, who's down in Dallas, Texas, of course, at the network, the comment was special election, ice storm, middle of an ice storm. We get complacent and we don't go out to vote. Now, we know Lee's going to be running again in the general coming up in November, because that was a special election. And I'm going to tell you right now, I guarantee she wins that. I'm going to say that right now on the radio. She's going to win that. I'm hopeful. But here's where I'm concerned, and I can't wait to get your thoughts. What leaves us home when we know what's at stake? Or are we that complacent with Trump in office? And a lot of gun owners feel this way. We'll go here too. Gun sales, I don't need to worry about my gun rights. Trump's in office. Complacency kills us. Is that what happened here?
Mm-hmm. I absolutely think that complacency killed us in this election. Furthermore, because the person who won, the Democrat in this situation, he won't be taking a vote between now and November. So I think that people knew that not that much is at stake in their mind. I mean, I'm trying to envision the person that didn't vote. Obviously, I went during the ice. I didn't vote on election day. I like to early vote with my husband because I work and live kind of far away from each other. And so because of that, I'm like, nope, we're braving it. We're going during early voting. And I just think that, I mean, it was completely empty. We were the only people there the entire time we were there.
Shame.
And that is really sad, right? So, yes, I think it's apathy. I think it's people thinking it doesn't really matter because he's not actually going to vote. And, I mean, I talked to somebody, I asked a lot of people actually in the last 2 weeks, like, did you vote in this election? I had a couple people, there was some redistricting, people that went to vote and weren't actually in that district. So, unfortunately, some of the people that were previously in that district were no longer. And I think that the other side did a really, really good job of getting out the vote. I mean, they got out the vote. They also spent millions of dollars in this race. I heard a lot of reports of some interesting things happening here in Tarrant County in regards to it. But I think that the Democrats obviously know that Tarrant County is a battleground, like ground zero, as I've heard it referred to before. And so they were trying to show that they could do it here, they can do it elsewhere. And that is what should scare everyone across the country of, you better wake up your people, because if you're apathetic, this is what can happen. And so I am hopeful that, good can come of this. But yeah, how did it happen is still, obviously, many of us are still kind of like, oh my goodness, this is insane. And I also think one more point, November is going to cost so much more because of this.
Yeah, a lot more.
The amount of money that's going to have to spend for every Republican running in November in Tarrant County is going to be probably 5X. It's crazy.
Well, I'm writing notes. Excuse me. I'm taking notes down while you were talking. 2 points that I want to bring up that you mentioned. The other side did a great job of getting out the vote, and they do. And here's the concern I have with that. Let's kind of juxtapose this about what happened in Virginia, where we saw that 18-point swing. 18-seat swing, I should say, in the House of Delegates in the state of Virginia. Democrats are in firm control. We're going to go there in the next segment briefly. But this is where the Trump hatred from the other side is clearly working to the Democrats' advantage. The hatred of Trump and anybody associated with Trump. Trump came out and endorsed our good friend Lee Wamsgans the night before the election. He came out and endorsed her, gave her his full-throated endorsement. And you know what that does? That angers the other side. And
to show up.
Yeah, so they do. They did brave it, and it only took 14% of the 6% to swing it. Now, those are pathetic.
6% was 6% was Republicans. 6% of registered Republicans. Voted.
Okay.
So it's actually only 3,500 votes. That's the degree of apathy. We live in a massive city, and 95,000 people voted and determined the race.
Yeah, that is pathetic. And the other thing that scares me, we'll take this to the, yeah, that's the word. That is the right word to use. Yeah. we'll take this to the break. We come back, I want your thoughts. But the power of incumbency, whether we like it or not, that other person has the power of quote unquote incumbency, even though they won't take a vote. And, I don't think many Republicans, when they chose not to vote or get out to vote, whatever, for whatever reason, ICE or whatever, I don't think they realize that. People who are plugged in might know that. But on the other flip side of that coin, we now come in, we're getting ready to take a break. When we come back, we'll go back to this. But the power of incumbency, because he's now got the huge Democrat machine behind him. Coming back into the general in November again. And how is that going to work, ladies and gentlemen? And that's, I think, goes right to your point, Danielle, that it's going to be 5x times, if not more, in money to defeat that for that very reason. Because the individual, whether we like it or not, even without a vote, comes in as the power of an incumbent. It's remarkable. It's bizarre how it turned out. However, because we got a lot of listeners in Texas, guys, you got to get off your duffs. These state races matter. They matter. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues. We have one more segment with Danielle Buck from Patriot Mobile. We'll be back right after the break. Don't go away. following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom on, 8 dozen radio stations or something like that. It's great to be with you today. And if you choose to watch live, please don't be driving while you do that, okay? And you just heard the Rejoin National Rifle Association bringing you everything here from the Patriot Mobile Command Center, and CZ Studios are lit up for you. Let's go back to our guest, Danielle Buck, real fast, because we've only got her for one more segment. Time just flies right by. Danielle, welcome back. I want to continue this conversation with the short time that we have with you. The power of that incumbency, right, even in a state race like that, really, really matters. And it astonishes me. I went back and watched Josh Hawley questioning somebody. I don't know, I saw it on a post somewhere as a reminder of a doctor who refused to admit that men can't get pregnant. And when I say let's get out of it, let's look down from the clouds and all this, we're dealing with a party, as far as I'm concerned, on the other side that has collectively lost their minds, literally lost their minds, that this is even a topic of discussion. And I can't believe that, for me anyway, I can't believe people even vote for that. How many people have been duped? What does the other side think? How does that even work? If you have an explanation for me, I'm game to take it. I'm open to anything at this point, because it is mind-boggling. How did we get here, right?
Yeah, I really wonder how we got here, because it does feel like the left just keeps getting farther out there, which I'm not mad about. I just think the right has to start messaging how crazy they are and how reasonable we are, right? I think that, to me, when I think about the midterms, all I keep thinking about is we have got to get our messaging together. We just have to keep echoing, like in Lee's race right here. This Democrat, he wants to take away your guns. This Democrat wants to let boys play in girls' sports. This Democrat wants to kill babies that are in the womb that should be given life. Like, we just have to message the simple things that resonate with Americans, and that will, I think, get us over the finish line. I hope, because I think that more and more people are being, yes, you have the emotional crazies, right? Like the ICE protester women who have emotionally hitched their connectivity that we all as women have to the leftist causes. They're in emotional, like how I feel about my children and my husband is somehow tied to politics. And that's why they have given their entire life and their soul to politics. And I think that there's going to be those people that are going to be like that no matter what. But I think that so many people in America don't fit in that category, and they've just been lied to by the media and lied to by the messaging. And that's why conservatives as a whole need to get our messaging kind of in order. I was in a meeting 2 nights ago with a bunch of life partners. So obviously one of our 4 pillars of Patriot Mobile is sanctity of life. And I was meeting with 4 different organizations that Patriot Mobile works with. So we're talking kind of on the medical side, on the research side, on the actual legislative side and policy side. And then there are also people that are doing the work of actually helping women who have unplanned pregnancies from a physical, spiritual, emotional side. And we were talking about the messaging because, yes, life as an issue, if you look at it alone, didn't do great the last election, right? Many states, codified abortion, etc. But when you take away the verbiage of how it was on the ballot box and how most people feel about life, a vast majority of Americans still don't want taxpayer dollars going to fund abortions. A vast majority of Americans still believe that life is precious and should be protected in the womb up to a certain point with certain exceptions. So we need to kind of shift the messaging away from this Planned Parenthood, we take care of women, which is a complete lie, and 1% of their business isn't actually abortion, and the rest of it all is. And we need to kind of message around what wins and what connects to people's hearts and minds, in my opinion. So I know I didn't really answer your question, but those are kind of my thoughts around the midterms.
No, you did. And, something, as I'm listening to you, something that just popped in my head might be a little bit, down a different rabbit hole, but, you see stories, and a lot of people don't even think about it in these terms. I do when I see them. A drunk driver kills a pregnant mother, right? And gets charged with 2 homicides. So how can that be, right? When you talk about the sanctity of life, the other side, that's because she was pregnant.
Right.
But they don't mind abortions up to 9 months. But they're charged with 2 homicides. At the whole thing, there's such a huge disconnect. And something else that you brought up that was so important, and that is the media. And I hate the media. Hate the media. I've hated them for years, and they're for good reason. But when you combine a 24/7 news cycle with this, just the evil of social media, and it is, with instantaneous information coming at you constantly 24/7, you get those people who become pure emotion because they live in that world, and that's all they see and hear. And as far as the women that are protesting, all this, it's funny to me because it's like all their names are Karen. It's just the way they act. I had to throw that out there. It's ridiculous.
So funny.
But it is ridiculous. And trying to argue with somebody who is coming at you with pure emotion is impossible to do. And the best thing to do at that point is just walk away from that person because you'll never be able to reach them.
That's right.
And I think that's fair to say. The message here, ladies and gentlemen, is you got to get off your duffs. And you got to go work. You got to go vote. You got to do it. You have to do it. You got to make the calls. You got to get involved. You have to get active. You have to do it. Let's talk about how active Patriot Mobile gets because you guys are everywhere. Where are you going next, and where were you just? It's hard to keep up with you.
I was, I know. I was just in Florida for a Moms for America event, which was really awesome. And we have a team of people headed to Nashville for NRB next week, and we have another team of people headed to Council for National Policy. So, yes, we are all over this week and next week, as always. But, at the end of the day, it's like what comes down to Christian conservative principles, what's happening. I think you mentioned that's probably one of our last interviews about what we're doing to try to fight Sharia law being on the ballot here in Texas on March 3rd, and how this Islamification of America is happening right here. And not many people are talking about it. So that's one of the new things that we're kind of working on because it matters, and it's affecting kids in schools, it's affecting our communities, it's affecting everything, and it will affect more if we don't start paying attention and do what we can do. And so we at Patriot Mobile are doing everything we can. As you know, we do that through cell phones. So I always tell people, like, cell phones are just the vehicle by which we are doing what we feel like God's called us to do, which is to try to give a portion of every single phone bill of someone that switches that's listening today to those 4 pillars, things that we all care about. And you all pay a bill every single month to one of the major carriers, and your phone is going to work exactly the same. All you have to do is switch it to Patriot Mobile. So you bring your phone, you bring your phone number, you call in America, and you can understand we have a call center in California. People that are just thrilled to get to talk to other Americans and get people switched. And then you start paying your bill with us. And like I said, we have all 3 major networks, so your phone will work exactly the same or even better. You're just supporting causes that align with your values, which all of us vote every month, every time we pay a bill. So
That's
you
right.
may as well
Don't
make
even
it
realize
count.
it. And I'll ask you this as we close out. I threw this question at Scott when I talked to him when he was in his hotel room at SHOT. Who has the bigger booth at all the events you go to? Patriot Mobile, T-Mobile, Verizon, or AT&T? Because they're not there, ladies and gentlemen.
Mobile.
That's because the other ones aren't there at the events that you support, ladies and gentlemen. Patriot Mobile is always there. Danielle, we love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. It's so fun to talk to you always. I know you're busy. Stay busy, but stay safe out there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Danielle Buck, Patriot Mobile. When we come back, you've got me for a half hour. We're going to wrap up some discussions from yesterday. Don't go away. Thanks, Danielle. following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show indeed. So, Greg, I just noticed, I put my hands up and I just noticed on camera that I have my, this thing, I had some blood taken today because I had an annual doctor's appointment.
You still got the Band-Aid on?
Yeah, why? I've been walking around with that. I was fighting with people at Best Buy over that. Not over this, but I had it on.
Right, with that on. Yeah.
Good heavens. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to me back when I went for my annual, and I come to work, and then it's just before I'm about to go to the gym in the evening. I look down, and I've still got this Band-Aid on me from when they drew blood earlier.
And I'm like, why did they even put that on? It's not like you bleed. I don't know.
What am I doing? You know,
here's the deal. I'll just go ahead and out myself as a moron because my appointment was at 9:15 this morning. So
yeah,
that thing's been on all day.
That time.
Right? Hey, you heard the Patriot Mobile rejoin coming back. PatriotMobile.com/AAR, everybody. And join Patriot Mobile. We love Danielle on the program. They are so good at what they do. They mean business. They literally mean business. And, you know, the 4 pillars of their company, you can go right to their website and read them. And I want you to do that. I don't want to tell you what they are. Go there and see it. And use the AAR code to do that, the AAR site. It's patriotmobile.com/AAR, patriotmobile.com/AAR. And I want to make this clear. I know our phone was cutting out at the tail end, but they have call centers in California and Texas, Greg.
Yep.
Okay?
Not India.
You're right, and Pakistan and
Yep.
you know, or somewhere else.
The Philippines.
Yeah, when you get when somebody answers the phone, this is not what you're going to hear. This is going to upset a lot of people, but I really don't care. Hello, how are you today? Thank you for calling Best Buy.
My name is Dan.
My name is Dan. No, it's not Dan. Okay? No. You're going to hear, hi, thanks for calling Patriot Mobile. This is Dan. And it's Dan, and he's in Texas, right?
Pretty close.
So that's how it works, guys. So, you know, do business with American people and American companies, man. Make America great again. Keep America great, all right? We're looking out for ourselves, and this is how we do it, and it matters. And those of you who get upset with that, well, if you can't take a joke, well, you know, too bad for you.
Cry harder.
Yeah. Give me some liberal tears. I'll use them to clean my guns. Anyway, aside from that, visit all of our partners, would you please? ArmedAmericanRadio.com. You can find them at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. They're all there for you.
So, moving on.
Thanks, AWR. Another Canadian mass shooting that strict gun laws didn't prevent. I'm going to read you something from the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, the press release today. Once again, innocent lives have been lost in a country with the sort of strict firearm regulations the gun prohibition lobby and anti-gun politicians advocate for here in the United States. And the CCR-KBA says the strategy in Tumbler Ridge, BC, proves how wrong they are. 8 people are dead. Now, I think that number has changed, but this is today, so don't hold me to that. I've heard between 8 and 10, but this is coming out today at about an hour ago, so I'm going to assume that we're right out there in Washington. 8 people are dead because Canadian politicians haphazardly believe that restricting millions of honest gun owners would somehow prevent a madman from committing mayhem. That's from Alan Gottlieb. That has never worked before. It didn't work in Northeast British Columbia, and it won't work tomorrow in Canada, the United States, or anywhere else. And by now, gun control zealots in both countries should have figured that out. So let's stop there for a second on that quote from Alan. Yeah, if they were honest. Because there's nothing to figure out. It's pretty straightforward, Greg, in Dallas, Texas, with no accent.
Yeah.
So if you're honest, you know this. So if you're talking to people who are arguing this, you know they're being dishonest, folks, because you can prove it to them by pointing these out day after day after day. There's tons of examples. The suspect who took his own life has been identified as an 18-year-old transgender individual who reportedly was known to police, according to the BBC. Known to police. How many times have we heard this? He or she, in this case he, biological male, was known to police. How many times do we hear that every single time we hear that these people were known to police? Every single time. And what gets done? Nothing. Go back to Parkland. 31, and that might be low, interactions with law enforcement because he was whacked out, Nicholas Cruz. 31 times. 31 contacts with law enforcement, and the guy's walking the streets. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, these are all perfect instances where insane asylums would prove to be very worthy. And fortunately, I believe Trump signed a an executive order in order to reinstate or to reopen a lot of mental wards. And I believe every one of these people would have a first-class ticket to the comfiest, most coziest straitjacket they have.
Oh, straitjackets, that's cruel and unusual. Everybody's
How
got
dare
that
I?
whole cuckoo's nest thing going on from back in the 70s, right?
Sure.
They watch a movie with Jack Nicholson and they think, okay, we got to get rid of these things. This is cruel stuff. Yeah, a lot of that was. A lot of the stuff was, the frontal lobotomies and all that stuff because, like a lot of people, I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. I don't understand this.
Well, there was a lot of medical experimentation that was just cruel to these people. So, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't experiment on mentally ill people, but,
No.
I would, be more for a Shutter Island kind of an experience for the mental wards versus something like what you're referring to.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when media gets involved, right? Hollywood goes
When
berserk.
liberals get involved.
When liberals get involved, that's what happens, yeah. So anyway, Trump did sign that, and when you look at guys like Cruz, this is where they should have been. Because this is every single time, folks, every single time. It's very unusual that it's not. Somebody always steps up and says, man, I knew it. I knew it. But, to be fair, in many cases, well, you do know in advance, but you can't read the future, right? I never thought he'd walk into a school, kill 17 people. But in many cases, there have been writings and threats that have existed for days, weeks, months, even years ahead of time. And like you just said, these are the people that should be in a straitjacket, no question about it. So here you have, yet again, another transgender who was known to cops. Authorities have described the shooter as having been born a biological male but identified as a woman. I don't care what he wants to identify as. He's not a woman. He's a male, period. If you're a male, you're a male. End of discussion. I don't know what's so difficult about this. The suspect previously had a gun license, but it expired in 2024, and police had previously visited the suspect's home and seized guns, which were later returned when the owner petitioned for them. Neither of the guns recovered by cops at the crime scene were registered to the shooter. And Allen continues, and I quote from our good friend Alan Gottlieb, as more information about the suspected shooter is made public, it is clear this individual had some serious mental and emotional problems. He reportedly murdered his mother and 11-year-old brother before going to the Tumbler Ridge Secondary School to continue the deadly rampage. What this and other incidents, Allen continues, have shown us is that banning certain types of guns requiring all sorts of paperwork, creating so-called gun-free zones, and adopting safe storage mandates will not prevent deranged individuals from committing deadly crimes. Anyone who thinks otherwise is horribly mistaken, if not completely delusional. It's time for the gun control crowd on both sides of the border to come to their senses, Allen said. Penalizing law-abiding citizens with onerous gun restrictions is a social experiment which was obviously fatally flawed from the beginning, and we can only hope Canadian authorities will finally recognize that and try some other strategy. I'm going to give you my prediction. They won't, ever, because it isn't about that. It's not about safety. It's not about security. It's about their political agenda, period. That's it. It's about their power and their control.
They'll continue to allow this to happen until they have all the guns.
You are absolutely correct about that. And they're working towards that.
Doesn't Canada have kind of an ERPO out there that they use in order to go in and seize firearms from people's homes?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Okay.
I don't
I thought we
know
had
any
talked about
specifics
it once
of it.
previously.
We probably
Yeah, okay.
have, but I don't know any specifics on it.
Okay.
I'm having some blackout coffee and a pink Yeti.
All
So
right.
I got a stupid
On
bandage
air.
on my arm and a pink cup.
30. Couldn't wait 45 seconds before we go to break to get a sip.
Well, if you had said it a second earlier, I probably would have. But again, like people who know people do bad things, you don't have a. Well, actually, you do have a look to the future because you see
I
that
do.
stuff. Yeah, you just didn't know I was going to do that. When we come back, I want to continue from yesterday's conversation, the post-Bruin federal case chart that I was able to put together for you, ladies and gentlemen. And I think I'll go there when we come back. We've got one more segment, Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. Blackout coffee is in this, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. If you want some, I need more bags of it already. And I'll explain why when we come back, because yet again, I did something stupid today, and that happens from time to time. We'll be back right after the break. This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back. All right, guys, here's the gig. We're getting real close, Greg, to my departure for Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
That happens in 6 days, and because I always jump a day ahead. So it happens in 5 days because today's almost over. And I know you hate that, but
I do.
But it's how I trick myself. Like if you're going on vacation, right? You fool yourself that it's coming quicker. You don't
I
count
don't
the day.
psyop myself. So.
I do. I don't count the day I'm in, and I don't count the day I'm leaving. And I just eliminate those 2 days. So we got 4 days in between, which is really what's happening. We have 4 days in between before I head out to Phoenix, where I'll be moderating a panel with, and this is going to be really fun, Heavy Duty Country Dan, Jared Yanis, and a number of other big influencers, big YouTube guys that you all watch. I'll be moderating that panel. We'll be doing 2 of those during the day. And I'll be there with Mr. Gottlieb and everybody and Ryan Petty. And it will be excuse me, folks, a tremendous amount of fun. So if you want to go, you got to be a member. You can still go. You can still sign up and go if you live in the area. If you've, got the time to travel out there, that would be fun to do. It's attorneysonretainer.us, attorneysonretainer.us. Use the promo code AAR, or just go to attorneysonretainer.us/AAR and check everything out there on the webpage. I think you'll enjoy it, because this is a no-brainer. If you carry a firearm, guys, put an attorney in your hip pocket, because that's what this card is. If you ever have to use a gun, first thing you're going to want to do is call 911 and then call your lawyer. It's that simple. And it's all explained right here on the back, okay? Right there. What to say, what not to say when you call 911, because that will be used against you. It's public record. This shows you what to do. Let your attorneys go to work for you in what is going to be a very difficult time for you if you are being investigated, and even worse if you wind up getting charged, all right? attorneysonretainer.us. You can find them and all of our great partners, including budsgunshop.com, Crossbreed Holsters, and many, many others. They're all there for you. Car Arms, CZ, they're all there at armedamericanradio.com. Greg, I want to pick up on yesterday's conversation a little bit. The post-Bruin federal case chart. Guys, just to give you a quick rundown, we were going through a number of bills that are already moving. Over 40 bills have been filed in the state of Virginia, anti-gun bills. Incredible. Just incredible. We predicted it. Now that the legislative session is underway, and there is a possibility, we've got midterms coming up in November. We were talking about that with Danielle Buck. We've got midterms coming up that are critical to your pro-rights agenda. And what you're seeing happen in Virginia right now is the absolute playbook that they're going to use at the federal level if they take power in Washington, D.C. again. And at some point in time, ladies and gentlemen, the likelihood is that they will. You have to plan for that. So when we went through some of the bills yesterday, part of what we discussed was, how will these fare in a post-Bruin environment in the courts? So I took a few of these things and broke down a kind of a federal case chart for you, okay? So let's take a look at some of these, if you'll humor me. Post-Bruin federal case chart, assault weapons bans. You had Bianchi v. Brown. That's the Fourth Circuit, okay? The central issue there was whether AR rifles or are arms in common use. And when that case is eventually taken by the court, and it's not going to be that case because they've already denied cert in that case, but Kavanaugh has already signaled that they're going to take another one. And there are a couple of them out there right now. You've got Illinois, you've got Connecticut, 2 that are big ones right now. The Bianchi Brown case is very similar to that. We thought they were going to take it because it had already moved through the circuit, but they didn't for whatever weird reason. Huge case for Virginia. We get that to the courts, we're going to win that case. You had Barnett, Raoul. AR-15s widely owned, protected arms, no historical analog. That ban was enjoined by the trial court. You had Beavis v. City of Naperville. The ban was upheld. So here's your split. Court accepted dangerous and unusual reasoning. That your AR is a dangerous and unusual weapon when it's the most popular rifle and most common rifle in America. There's your split right there. This is how we know they're going to take it, and this is why I'm going to tell you better than 99% chance we win it. Miller v. Bonta, Ninth Circuit, that was remanded repeatedly. Ladies and gentlemen, the district court struck the ban. And the appellate process throughout this whole thing is still, as far as I know, is still unresolved. But nonetheless, that's why that's important. The assault weapons ban we feel good about. Magazine capacity limits. You look at Duncan v. Bonta, district court struck the ban. You look at Ocean State Tactical, which we've talked about with a number of guests over some time on the show. That ban was upheld. There's your split. Court accepted the public safety reasoning within the Bruin framework, which is not going to pass muster at the Supreme Court, who wrote the ruling. Hansen v. D.C., the ban was allowed. The court treated the magazines as accessories, not core arms. So here you see the problems that they have on the other side when you look at the Bruin decision. Ghost guns. I went into this one. This one, to me, I don't really know how this is going to shake. It's hard to make a prediction on this. But if you go back to the Vanderstock-Garland case, which we covered in the Fifth Circuit, the ATF rule was struck down. And the court found that the agency exceeded its authority, if you remember. And they avoided in that a broad Second Amendment ruling. United States v. Price, serialization requirement was struck. Court suggested homemade arms historically protected, because they are. And state-level ghost gun bans in multiple districts across the country has had a mixed bag of results, folks. And the courts, in most cases, to summarize, have treated serialization as commercial regulation rather than a possession ban, which could cause a problem in Virginia as it works its way through the appellate process, which it is eventually going to do, okay? Because the Democrats are going after everything. This is why it's so important that these cases get to the SCOTUS. They have to. Safe storage requirements, I put a little short up from yesterday's program. What an absolute joke this is. All right, but the New York storage law challenges, if you go back in the federal district courts, had been upheld, generally speaking. Storage conditions seen as longstanding safety regulations is how they couched it. And then you had the Antoinette case, the Antoinette Hochul case. Some restrictions were allowed. That was a mixed bag in that. The regulations affecting the manner of possession may survive if not disarming citizens. Again, SCOTUS has got to look at this. The court's view, the trend in that, ladies and gentlemen, was the court's view storage rules as a conduct of regulation, not disarmament. And that's the hitch. And that's what the Supreme Court is eventually going to have to answer. They're going to have to eventually answer these things. And this could be years down the road if they ever take one of these cases. Sensitive places, mixed bag. The Hochul case thing, same thing. The government must show historical analogs for each restricted place. You had the Coons v. Platkin case in the Third Circuit. The Hochul case, by the way, is the Second Circuit. And in many locations in the Third Circuit, those bans were blocked. Broad gun-free zones lack historical tradition. Boom, there's your split. Second and Third Circuit. Calero v. Bonta, Ninth Circus. Several locations in the bans were enjoined. States cannot declare large swaths of public life sensitive. So you've got good splits here. So narrow, what we've seen is narrow sensitive places laws survive. Broad locations generally fail when it comes to a ban. What's going to happen in Virginia? We're going to have to wait this one out. And then taxes and fees on firearms, as I talked about yesterday. This depends on how the courts view what it is the legislative body is doing. Because the trend here is that moderate taxes applied have generally survived because they, even though we've said that they were designed to clearly suppress ownership, they have survived. And the 11% tax in Virginia, unfortunately, is likely going to survive, ladies and gentlemen, unless it is somehow shown to be punitive. And that's going to be very difficult to prove, even though we know that's what they're doing. So a mixed bag. We don't want this at the federal level, ladies and gentlemen. So please, please, please pay very, very, very careful attention to these cases as they move through Virginia and on the appellate process up, hopefully, to the Supreme Court of the United States. But we're going to be watching this for months and years to come. If you live in Virginia, you know, elections have consequences, is all I can tell you. If you didn't vote and you live in Virginia, I don't want to hear you complaining right now. You're just flapping your gums in the wind. As far as I'm concerned, you let every other gun owner down. Armed American Radio is going to get up and do it again tomorrow because we can, and they don't want us to. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
Oh, I had to pull that picture down there of Spanberger and the Wicked Witch of the West. I can't even look at her. I can't. It's hard to even look at her. Hochul too, particularly her. It's really difficult, Greg, to look at her mug. You see hate when you look at her. I don't mean coming from me. You see it from her. She just exudes hate. Ugh. She's an ugly woman.
She is.
She's an ugly woman.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to feel better about looking at Spanberger, go look at Wasserman Schultz.
I would prefer not to do any of the above. But unfortunately, they're in the public eye, and they're making these laws and pushing these laws that just are so un-American. It's not even funny. Go ahead, Greg.
I saw Debbie Wasserman Schultz on the news the other day, this week recently.
Why?
And I don't remember what I was looking at. I think it was something my mom was watching at home, and she was on, and she reminded me of Medusa.
Yeah, well, I even though I'm on the internet right now and not live on the radio, I'm going to withhold my commentary. I was taught a long time, we can't say something nice. Well, I didn't say anything nice about Hochul either. I don't know. Calling Hochul ugly is nice, as far as I'm concerned.
Don't live by that.
No, I don't either.
Say this nicely. Pussycat mindset of.
Let me say this. Let me say it this way.
Ugly people need to be told they're ugly.
Saying Hochul is ugly is nice, because you could get a lot worse. All right, guys, we're done. We're done. We're going to get up and do it again tomorrow, Greg. Well, I will likely have Paul Markle, student of the gun, on.
All right.
And that will be fun. It always is. In the meantime, folks, make sure to stay safe out there, guys. Please, please pay attention to what's going on. You have got to be alert. You've got to be aware, okay? Situational awareness also means political situational awareness. You got to pay attention. You've got to watch Virginia very, very carefully, guys, because this is the platform. This is what they want to do. This is the playbook. It is absolutely critical. And I just noticed I have a cut on my finger, too. You know what that's from?
Guitar strings.
No, I wish it was. No, it's from getting mad at a receiver that I have to take back to Best Buy. Yeah. Let's just say it's broken. It was broken before I took it back. I didn't break it. But trying to get back behind it, it was one of those things. I hate when inanimate objects fight me back. I can't stand that. And this was one of those cases where this receiver just fought me. I mean, you know how many receivers I've put together, Greg, over the years? I've lost count. I mean, just put speaker wire in, positive, negative, right, positive, negative, left, plug in your subwoofer, turn the son of a bitch on, and it cranks. And this was a Sony receiver, round 2, I might add. And it kept giving me a protector message popping up on the display. Protector, 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 thinking it was getting some type of surge. So I found myself doing like you do when you lose your car keys and you lose your mind. You start looking in closets you haven't been in 20 years, and you can go, hey, I haven't been in that closet in 20 years. My car keys are not in there. It's not me. It's the receiver. Sure enough, it was the receiver. I don't know what I punched. It wasn't a person. It wasn't an animal. I don't do that. It was, I think I...
Okay, are we still doing the video feed?
Yeah, we're on the video feed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're on the video feed. I just haven't hit the end stream yet, but...
I thought we had ended the stream already.
No, I picked up a couple more viewers, too. All right. I guess we'll call it quits here, although it would be fun to do a live podcast right now, a live stream of podcast, but I won't do that with you unplanned. So I'll let you go because I know you want to get home. All right, guys, stay safe out there. God bless you. Love each and every one of you. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio.